still getting the car ready for the second race. I'm still iffy about the tires, man. I'm debating on trying the 255 Kumos again. I don't know. I just don't feel like the Falcons are working at this track. The surface is real weird. Like, the car has a ton of grip on entry, great brake performance. I mean, obviously it's 285, but as soon as the tire rolls over, like I said, it's a pretty narrow wheel with the 285, relatively speaking. I run the same wheel with a 255, right? So definitely a little bit of rolling over with the 285 on the 10.5-inch wheel. But I don't know, I think I'm gonna keep them just because I haven't had like a full dry race session with them, and we'll see. But a few changes to the car. I angled the splitter a little bit down, or I guess up in the rear, to kind of give it a downward slope. So a little bit more downforce in the high speed. And we finally got my little tube for some driver cooling. So let me show you guys how that looks. So we got the NACA duct, cup by my dude Roy right there. And just a 3-inch clear tube that goes up across the top roll bar, and then across the diagonal, and then it angles down directly at the driver. So here's what it looks like. Yeah, this is gonna hopefully give me some fresh air during the race, because it is starting to get hot again. Yeah, race 2, starting second. Not really any significant changes to the car, just because I think it was pretty good. I didn't really get a good read in that last race. And then we'll go from there. We'll see if we can battle Emil and Matan and Eric Magnussen for some podium positions. But yeah, great racing all around. I'm pumped. Good day. Got the whole family here. My dude Jeremy just showed up. So anyway, let's get going for race 2. That was a frustrating race. Not my best. Made a few mistakes. Bunch of mischiefs. I'm having a hard time getting into 4th, and then also having a hard time going 5-6. I kind of thought I should have maybe dropped the transmission at the past event because I kind of felt issues at Gingerman, but I thought I could probably make it through this event without, you know, having to do that, and it's kind of biting me in the ass. I think the synchros they're not happy. So we're debating whether or not we want to drop the trans to see if, and I don't even know if I have spare synchros in the trailer, but if I have some spares, then maybe we'll drop the trans and swap them out. But before that, well, anyway, yeah, I finished 3rd. Had the lead for majority of the lap, and the car was just getting hard to drive. I'm not feeling great about the Falcons, I'll be honest with you guys. I don't think the setup's working. And you know, the front tires in the high speed, it seems like they have a ton of grip, and then it makes it really sketchy in turn 1 and 11. The car is just like super loose. And then in the low speed, I just can't get the freaking front to turn in. It's super odd. But yeah, I felt like I had pretty decent pace in the front. I had Emil behind me, so I thought that maybe we can like hold off the V8s, and then slowly but surely the V8 started catching up, and then basically just drove right around me on the straightaways. I had one issue in turn 11 where I hit the curb. Basically in turn 11, if you go too aggressive, there's like a ditch and you can hit that curb. And I think I might have knocked the alignment out or something, and the wheel was a little bit off, so I thought maybe the toe was messed up. We checked the toe was perfectly fine, so maybe the camber got shifted a little bit. But me and Roy right now, we're just putting a wrench on basically everything in the subframe, steering rack, all the knuckles and everything, just to make sure nothing's loose. Everything seems to be pretty good. We did find a few issues with the brake rotors while I was checking that stuff over. Looks like there's a few bolt heads that broke off, which probably due to heat expansion, and then, you know, the heads just, I guess, break. So that's a little sketchy. So we're gonna have to take the rotors off and then see if I have any spare bolts. Yeah. I'm debating if I want to completely change the setup and go back to the Kumos, because yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm struggling. I was hoping that this weekend I'd have a lot more straight line speed, but looking at the data, it's exactly the same as last year, like 126. Meanwhile, all the faster cars are like 130. So the extra power, extra weight didn't really help me at all in the straight line, and the handling doesn't seem to be good either. So I'm kind of stuck, don't know really what to do. I'm hoping maybe if I go with the 255 Kumos, the rolling resistance will be a lot less, so maybe I'll get a little bit more speed out of that. And then I'll also get a percentage back for undersized tires, and then I think I might take the front splitter off as well and get another percentage back, which basically means if I run the Kumos, I can add 4 horsepower. And that sounds pretty appealing to me because I keep getting passed on the freaking straightaways and I'm over it. So anyway, yeah, me and Roy, we're just checking everything over, and then we'll make a decision on the trans, and then after that, we'll make a decision on the setup for tomorrow. But yeah, we got all evening tonight, so we're not really rushing, taking our time. But yeah, that's race 2, still 3rd place, which is great, but yeah, could have won that one. Or, I don't know, maybe could have won that one. Yeah, my dad noticed that it just looks like it's breaking because these bolts are drilled for safety wire. I don't really use a safety wire, I just use Loctite 271. But it seems like these bolts just shear off right where the hole is, as you can see. So yeah, might have to figure out a new bolt solution because these aren't cutting it. And Roy was literally torquing them, and he stripped one. So now he's got to undo all of them and start over. But yeah, unfortunately, all I really have is used bolts. So some of these are good, and some of these just fail. So yeah, definitely taking note of this for the next event. Switch up the bolts because these are no good. 10.9. All right, so we were about to drop the trans, swap some synchros, but I made the decision not to. Just one, because honestly I don't feel like it. And two, I do have a bunch of spare synchros. I got everything, you know, I got everything. Problem is, they're mostly used. Some of these might be new. I don't know, I don't feel like dropping the trans, swapping worn used parts with older worn used parts. That just sucks. And plus, I do think I need to get the diff maybe checked. OsGiken sent it out to my boy Lugod out in Cali and have him take a look at the diff just to make sure the diff's all good, because it's been a while since I checked it, and that was actually the plan after this event. So I don't want to drop the trans now and then drop the trans again a few days later. That just doesn't sound fun. So we're just gonna leave it as is. We figured out the bolts, we got the rotor hats all torqued down for now, and then just kind of check things over once more, and then get it on the dyno and retune it, because I am gonna change the setup a little bit. Pretty busy night. We got all the work done. Just got it off the dyno right now, but all right. So we were planning on dropping the trans. We did not do that, but yeah, no more splitter. Took the splitter off, so that's 1% we get back on weight, and now we're rocking the 255. 225 Kumos, and because they're undersized to what I could actually run in the class, that's another negative 1%. So we're able to take off 2% weight, but instead of taking off weight, we're actually going to add more power, because I have to be in a certain tire category, which means I have to run at a certain weight, so I can't go below that. So essentially, I'm keeping my weight as is, I'm just adding more power. Now, because we scale on the dyno about, I think it was like 60 or 70 pounds heavy, which means I have even more of a buffer. So I'm gonna run even more power. So I'm gonna get even closer to my limit. I'm going to the limits here, based, you know, power and weight. We're going to 220 horsepower. People making fun of me vlogging. I'm used to it. After race 1 and race 2, the car made 208, and I was targeting 214. So I was already pretty safe on horsepower, about 6 horsepower down to where I should be. And that's good, you know, that's kind of what you should be doing in this series. You should be running it safe. We're going to the limit, so we're going from 208 to 220. So 12 extra horsepower, same weight, slightly smaller tires. So anyway, we'll see how it feels. I'm starting 6th tomorrow because I ran the 6th fastest lap in that second race. It wasn't a great race. I had a good lead and I had a safe lead, and then I kind of just started making a little bit of mistakes, and then the tires started falling off, and then, you know, yeah, the VAs just got by me. Tomorrow's race is based on fastest lap time, which is why I'm starting 6th. That's it for me tonight. I'm gonna go drink some beers. The boys watching F1 quali on that sweet rig. I mean, look at that rig. That is goals right there. Pretty sweet. So no spoilers for you guys. Well, spoilers. This video is gonna come out 3 months from now. Gonna hang out with the boys, get some good sleep, and then tomorrow hopefully I can kind of redeem myself and push the limits even further regarding safety margin with weight and safety margin of power, because there's nothing else I can do. That was a tough race. Worst one I've had all weekend. P5. Yeah, I don't know. The car felt good. Like I like the tires. You know, the tires are consistent. I ran 3 36.14s in a row the last 3 laps. So the car is consistent. It's just not quick. You know, the extra horsepower maybe got me an extra mile per hour on the straightaway. Doesn't really help me much when I can't pass that freaking Corvette. You know, coming out of keyhole, just gaps me 3 car lengths, and then, you know, that's it. You know, I have to spend the rest of the lap trying to reel him back in. And then, you know, Emil was flying. He ran a 35.5, you know, that car. So, I don't know. I'm kind of stuck. Don't really know where to go from here. I mean, I'm kind of disappointed I strayed away from the light car formula. I think if I would have kept it at 198, it probably would have been fine, but would have been even slower on the straightaways. So, like, then what? What am I just going to sit behind the Corvettes in the corners? I can't pass him. Like, you know, Emil's car was pretty quick, and it handles really good. He couldn't do anything either. He was stuck behind Tony Marcho the whole race. So it is what it is. Like I said, I tried something new this event, and I was hoping that the raceability would be a little bit easier. I hope that I can keep up with the vets, at least in the straight line, and it's still not possible. So I did get rear-ended in the middle of that race by Ryan Christoph, unfortunately, because he just missed the brake zone. But we got a solid 2nd and a 3rd in the first 2 races, so that's still pretty good in the championship. The 5th place, not ideal, especially since Matana won another one. So Matana has 4 wins, Magnussen has 4 wins. No, Matana has 5 wins now. So yeah, Matana has 5 wins, Magnussen has 4, I have 3. So I might still be leading the championship, but once the drops start coming into play, I think I'm gonna have a hard time staying in it. Oh, 2 more things I wanted to mention. Number 1, there's a top 9 invert, so I'll be starting 3rd. And then number 2, check out the new shirt design. And then the back. Bam! Look at that. Supertouring 1992 Civic, Hybridracing. And then at the bottom, it's basically all the stats of the car. And then, yeah, updated livery. Sheesh. Look at that. So yeah, pretty sick. Super pumped with this design. This is a sample, and I'm loving it. So hopefully we can get these made pretty soon, and they'll be for sale on Hybridracing. And yeah, all the shirts that you guys buy helps me try to beat some Corvette V8s. And right now I'm not beating him, so I need more help. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, I appreciate all the support from you guys. You guys have been throwing a lot of love on the YouTube channel, you know, the merch, you know, the Instagram posts, everything, the car. So I really appreciate it. And yeah, if you guys want to buy a shirt, they'll be on hybridracing.com, and all the profits go right back into the race car. You know, I'm not trying to make any money off of it. I'm just trying to race more, get better parts, and try to get more wins. So last race, P4, I tried my best to hold off Emil, but man, he was killer in the brake zone at China Beach. The setup changes helped a little bit. I actually managed to finally get into the 35, so like 35.7, which I was pretty proud of. The car was still pretty pushy that race, and I just was struggling kind of in keyhole, and struggled a little bit in Carousel, and then, you know, Thunder Valley, I felt like I couldn't get the nose to pitch in. And probably just because, you know, the car is 250 pounds heavier. Honestly, the best situation would have been just running the low power, lightweight formula. The heavy didn't really work. The car wasn't really great at anything. Whereas, you know, before the car was really good at handling and I could kind of use that to build a gap. This weekend, I was expecting, you know, the car would be easier to race and I would be able to pass people on straightaways. Wasn't really the case either, right? So yeah, I learned a lot this weekend. I think it's time to go back to the low power formula and maybe try to run a little bit more flat horsepower. You know, maybe keep it at 198 for longer across the RPM range. We'll see. But anyway, I think overall, I finished 4th place overall. It was tight. If I would have got 3rd in that last race, I think I would have got 2nd overall. But basically, me and Emil were tied for points, and whoever ended up higher got that 2nd position. So I think it's Magnussen, Emil, Matan, and then me, and we were all, I think first place was 75 points, or no, 77, 75, 74, and then I had 72. So pretty close finish. 4 different winners this weekend, which is awesome. Pretty cool to see that in the series. I just wasn't really anywhere there. If it rained, I think I would have had a great time, but that only rained in practice. But it's hot. I'm gonna finish this weekend off with watching GLTC, my boy Aaron Lichty in the C8 Corvette, and then I got hockey later today. So anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys at the next one.